Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Season 1, Episode 7, The Retreat. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you feel lucky or feel like gambling, you can hit that bell down below, and YouTube may or may not notify you when you come on live. Best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule. I set it up every week. Also change it. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. All right, let's get started, shall we? Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Give me enough time to hit pause and all that kind of stuff. All right, should be plenty of time. So we have another standalone episode here. Honestly, this is what I've said about this series to begin with, is that we were going to get a lot of B-list characters, C-list characters, Z-list characters, all that kind of stuff. That's exactly what the comic did. It was fun, is really what it is. It has a fuller world. It makes the MCU look like a fuller world than just the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. It makes it look like there are more street level heroes. There are many different kinds of level heroes, and we get that a lot in this episode. So Jen, of course, is still continuing to see Josh that she met from the wedding. They go out on a couple of dates, and she ends up sleeping with him and then gets ghosted by him. She doesn't know what's going on. So a couple of days, her checking her texts. She's texting him, and then is looking at her phone constantly, trying to figure out what's going on, why he's not calling back. And also in all of this too, her secretary, or her paralegal, I should say, Nikki, mentions just kind of aside that she's up for lawyer of the year, female lawyer of the year. And I'm fairly sure this is a trap, but you never can tell. It's we've only got 2 episodes left. We have episodes 8 and 9. This has got to be a trap, is really what's going to happen here. So it's just kind of an aside. It sets things up for later. But we do get she gets a phone call finally on Sunday, not from Josh though, but from Emil Blonsky's parole officer, who says, hey, his inhibitor, something went wrong with his inhibitor. What's going on? And it's going to take me a while to get a whole bunch of officers to go with me. I'd feel better if a Hulk was backing me up. So she ends up going with the parole officer up to the retreat that Emil Blonsky has, and nothing's wrong. Blonsky's sitting there. His inhibitor malfunctioned, I guess. He said he hit an electric fence while he was trying to save his favorite chicken, who hit the electric fence, and that probably is what did it. Keep that in mind. Remember for next time, I should say. But also we get to meet Man Bull and Aguila. There we go. Who looks like a matador and is not. He's a swashbuckler. So Man Bull is an experiment from a lab. He has horns and looks like a bull, but a man bull. And El Aguila is a swashbuckler. Like I said, he has a sword. He also has bioelectricity. In the comics, he's actually a mutant. And again, we are bringing mutants into this. We've already talked about mutants already with Miss Marvel. We know mutants exist, so we get this as well. So they both damage, or I should say Man Bull mostly damages Jen's car to the point where it's going to need a tow truck driver. And so Blonsky says, hey, just come and check out the retreat. You're stuck here for a little while anyway. Take a look around. And she's looking for bars on her phone. Is what's going on. and she happens to stumble into their circle, their I guess you could say their for lack of a better word, it's a um, basically they're talking things out. And now I'm blanking on the word all of a sudden. In therapy, when you go group circle, there we go. Group therapy. Um, and we also have Saracen, who may or may not be a vampire. We don't know for sure. And we also have another person named Porcupine. And by the way, Porcupine is really a super villain as well. He's a villain that actually fights, if I remember correctly, Daredevil, and also Punisher. So yeah, we've got that going on. And Saracen, there's a couple of characters in the Marvel universe that are called Saracen. Some are vampires, and one is not a vampire and is tied to oh shit, now I'm blanking on it. I want to say it's Kingpin and Daredevil. So we have that going for us. But who happens to walk in but Wrecker from the from the Wrecking Crew, and he happens to be there too. And She-Hulk, immediately breaks the fourth wall and says, "Hey, get a previously on this guy." And we get a flashback of what Wrecker did, and she ends up throwing him across the room. And they're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Wait a minute! You need to have a little time out there, and we need to talk this out with them." So they end up, a Wrecker's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry what we did. It was reprehensible of us." He doesn't mention anything about being there to take Jen's blood. And at one point, Saracen, when they start talking about Jen's problems, because they notice that she keeps looking at her phone and that Josh is part of this, and she starts talking about Josh and what happened. Saracen kind of says, "Well, maybe he was just there for your blood," kind of thing. Being the vampire-esque thing that he is. And Record kind of steers it away immediately. Um, Now, if Wrecker really wasn't there to harm Jen, he would tell her immediately that he was working for Hulk King and who in the hell Hulk King is. Um, and also that they were there for her blood. So that is, yeah, there's some red flags that are going on in this episode that haven't been answered. But to work everything out here, Jen finally kind of comes to the grips that she is having a identity crisis, I guess you could say, whereas Jen, being Jen, is great, but no one recognizes her now that she's She-Hulk. She-Hulk is as she says, the popular friend who gets all the attention. That popular friend that you had in high school that gets all the attention and takes it away from you, kind of thing. And so she's actually in conflict with herself. She-Hulk gets more of the attention, and it bothers her, quite honestly, and it should, because she is living a dual personality at this point. And she was okay with it at one point. And when she was with Josh, and that she thought Josh liked her for Jen, and then in the office she was She-Hulk. So she was She-Hulk by day, Jen by night, and was okay with that until he ghosted her. And now she's having that she had to have that realization moment, if you will. In CBM, yeah, I agree with you. I love that the cathartic moment as well, of her realizing that and getting through it a bit. I mean, well, actually not getting through it, but actually, saying it out loud and admitting this is what the issue is. And finally recognizing this for what it is. And all the guys in the group basically tell her to delete Josh's number, stop, obsessing about it, delete his number, you'll be good with it. So she does that. And that's where we end off in this episode, with her car, getting ready to be towed away by Slot Towing. And by the way, Slot Towing is named after Dan Slott, who is one of the writers of She-Hulk. He's written She-Hulk comics. And as a matter of fact, if you look really closely, the driver's name tag is Dan. So it's kind of a funny little, Easter egg there. But we do get a flashback to 3 days prior, where Josh does wake up in the middle of the night, uh, copies Jen's phone with his phone, snaps a picture of her while she's sleeping with a flash, which is kind of ballsy, really. And then texts the Hulk King that with emojis that he's gotten her blood sample. I don't know how you got her blood sample without her waking up or feeling that, but yeah, that's where we leave off. So we know Josh is a bad guy. He's working for Intelligentsia. I'm still, I just started thinking that maybe Emil might be in on this whole Intelligentsia thing as well. That the whole thing with the inhibitor malfunctioning, if you will, was not really a malfunction, that it actually did record him turning into the abomination. And I think his working with this group of villains at the retreat is really him amassing a group of people in relation to the intelligentsia, and it just so happens that they're playing along. Yeah. So CBM says that was generally upsetting the picture. Yeah, yeah. It was one of those things that freaky people do. CBM. Yes, I agree with you. So no stinger as well in this episode either. This was still a good episode. Again, like I said, it was a standalone episode. We got Jen working through her own issues, and we don't, like I said, we only have 2 episodes left. We didn't have any courtroom scenes in this one. We don't have anything with, other than Nikki saying that she's up for Female Lawyer of the Year. We really haven't had much more office stuff going on in this episode, which I wish we would. I kind of wish these episodes were an hour long, to tell you the truth, just so we can have a little more banter back and or even split back and forth between the office and what Jen's doing, kind of thing. This is the series that I want to see more of, quite honestly. Um, I like this, that we're getting a fleshed out world, a bit more fleshed out of an MCU, rather than a situational thing that's going on of, you have to take care of this problem right away, and we're on the run from something like Hawkeye or WandaVision or Miss Marvel, anything like that. You never really got a fleshed out world where this is what we're getting in She-Hulk right now, is we are getting more characters in there. It is looking more lived in than those other series that we've had. I mean, Moon Knight could have done it as well, but they were more focused on what was going on in his head. So we were more focused on the supernatural aspect and also what was going on in his head than what was going on in the world around him. So we couldn't really do that either. So that was left to She-Hulk, quite honestly. And I'm digging what's going on. And also, we still don't know what the hell's going on with Hulk. Big guy there. She did call him and leave a drunken call, saying, "Hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a while now, and we don't know if it's been days, weeks, months, how long it's been, but we know that he's off someplace, as well." CBM says Marvel needs to change that 6-hour format. So CBM, they're doing it because of monetary budget. It's what they're budgeting out to. And I understand why they're doing it, but Star Wars is doing, especially with Andor. God, I mean, they expanded Andor. It's 12 episodes, and they're like almost an hour long each episode, which they really didn't need to be. That is something they could have really cut to half-hour episodes, and or done 6 1-hour episodes and easily gotten away with it. It needs an editor really, really badly on Andor. But yeah, this on the other hand could be expanded out so much more, because we're getting so much more material. And yeah, so that's the reason why I wish there was more of it here. But yeah, we're not going to get that, unfortunately. And the nice thing about this too is we are going to get a more fleshed out She-Hulk too, when she eventually gets into the movies and joins the Avengers or the West Coast Avengers or whoever she's going to, the Fantastic Four, even at some point, who knows. It'll be kind of interesting to see what happens, because she will be more together, up there than Hulk was, or pretty much any of the Avengers, that we've had to date at this point. since she's working through her issues now without having to do it in a superhero context. She's just working it through in a real world context and what works for her. So, yeah, kind of nice. I like this. This was a nice little aside after, like I said, Andor was just disappointing to me, but this was a lot better. So, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow is going to be Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Um, Saturday, I'm going to be off. Sunday will be the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news, the weekend news, genre stuff you guys want to talk about when we talk about it. Monday will be House of the Dragon. Tuesday will be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, I know I was saying I was going to do the League of Super Pets, but actually I'm going to do the Munsters because I forgot the Munsters was going to be on Netflix. So I'm going to cover the Munsters, Rob Zombie's The Munsters on there. Wednesday will be Andor again, and we come back around Thursday to She-Hulk. So CBM says, I do find this episode good in a low-key way. It wasn't as funny as some of the others, but it focuses more on this character development. Yeah, exactly. And that was what the comic was. The comic, yes, had its humorous moments as well, but there was also some, serious stuff too that was thrown in there. And did have the character work through some issues, and also introduced a whole bunch, like I said, of B level characters, C level, Z level characters, all that kind of stuff, um, which is needed sometimes in the Marvel comics, just to kind of, like I said, flesh out that world. So, yeah. CBM says, I've been saying it reminded me of some of the more character focused episodes of Community. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Well, considering that one of the writers, I believe, worked on Community, if I'm not mistaken. So wasn't Jessica Gao part of one of the writers of Community? I think she was. Let me actually take a look since I have the IMDb up here. But I believe she was part of Community. Well, I know she was Rick and Morty, yes, and Silicon Valley. So, yeah, Robot Chicken. No, actually, she wasn't part of Community, but same kind of um, realm, I guess you could say, in that where you have to flesh out, especially Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty does flesh out their characters, and in a way that is yes, Dan Harmon did make Community. That's where I was having the connect there on that. So, I mean, Rick and Morty does have a lot of character fleshing out in their episodes, so I can see how that carries over into this easily. Yeah. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the rest of the night. Thank you to, well, CBM who joined me in the chat. Oh, there's somebody else that's floating around there in the chat. And thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. All right, everybody. Thank you. I will see you again tomorrow for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, your Prius Elite might get smashed a little bit by Manbull, because he was created in a lab, and Eligila, kind of triggers him because he's dressed as a matador, but he's really a swashbuckler and he doesn't want people to think of it. It's a long story. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, get the boosters as well. They don't work without the boosters. And take care out there, everyone. Thanks. Have a good rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone. Good night.